We are coming to you live from Utah and from Syria. And this is my friend Grace. Actually, are you going by the name Nada now, or Grace, or both, or Grace Sacco? What's the name?
I think grace always is there. It's all by the grace.
It's all by the grace of God.
So, yeah. So there is some mystical experience I had about the name Nada, which means in Arabic the morning dew. So I go for now with Nada Grace. So I use my Grace as my last name.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to introduce everyone to Grace because Grace and I have known each other for years and we have had so much fun together. Initially, Grace and I were talking over Skype, I believe it was at the beginning when you were in Syria and I was in, I think, probably Cincinnati. And I could even hear when the war was going on, I could even hear some of the explosives in the background. So we started off there. And then there was a time when Grace went to Dubai and lived with her brother. And we had some beautiful chats there as well. And then it was a big deal to immigrate to Canada. And that was a huge leap of faith. And then now you've got your Canadian residency, and yet you're on a healing mission going to Europe and then back to Syria, where you are now, and then off to Dubai. So thank you for coming on live. And I just am so grateful for you as a friend. You've been with me for a long time. We've known each other.
Thank you so much, David. Like, thank you for visiting my dreams. You often visit my dreams, and it's so joyful. Like, I really feel this connection. Like, thank you so much, David. Like now I am in Syria, and I was telling you just a few minutes ago, I came here really just because I want to remember this initial joy of when I first met you and Janie. It was all this journey. It's all coming back to me now. All this, like, the initial love. This is what in the Bible say. Come back to the initial love. The
That's it.
primary, I think it says this something like this in English, to the primary, the initial love. So I'm coming back. It feels like somehow this immigration journey has taken me to other avenues. It was somehow confusing.
Yeah.
I needed to remember.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's beautiful, you know, that you're in Syria because there's so much history related to religion and spirituality, related to so many things. So I guess you were born in Syria and then you were raised, and your father was a Christian minister, right? He was a Christian
Yeah.
minister. So that's kind of interesting, being growing up in Syria with a father as a Christian minister, and then you've gone through so many healings around religion and around spirituality. And we were just talking briefly a little bit earlier, and you still said there was still some residues about like a guilt or a shame around believing something or doing some spiritual journey or a religion that was outside of your traditional Christian upbringing, your programming. And so it was so beautiful because Grace said she's back in Syria. She's visited her dad who was not well, and she was praying to Jesus. What about all this crucifixion and blood and all this bloody mess? And what did Jesus tell you? What did the voice tell you?
Yeah, so I was having this conversation, and like I was saying, like, there is still some charge whenever I remember that, because my father had really this, there was some kind of seriousness when he wants us to believe in the sacrifice and the blood. And I was really in that deep prayer when I said, Jesus, what about this blood thing? He said, don't project that bloody thing on me, because it was so nice. And I said, wow, because there is still the belief in me that there is the need for like something for revenge, like there is still belief in attack thoughts, something that this kind of the force, something that needs to attack the violence, even if I want to call it karma, like even if as long as something needs to be paid. So it felt like wow. And I said, wow, it looks like I have a huge mind that I projected the whole thing on the church.
Yeah.
I mean, on the whole, like on my whole life story. And I said, wow, please show me more and more of these answers. Like, show me more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, I have to say, I have known you for years, and I always have appreciated that you just wear your heart on your sleeve. You are so authentic. You just learned more and more that we could have these heart-to-heart conversations and you could trust. And you just began to just open up and share all your thoughts, which I think is still really rare in this world in terms of the way this world is. You know, for somebody to develop trust quickly enough to be able to just pour it all out and lay it on the table, I would say that that really has accelerated your spiritual journey in an amazing way. And because when we would talk at any time of the day or night. Obviously, there was a big time difference between United States and Syria, and then there was a lot going on, and in your mind, and yet you were very open about everything. And then when the opportunity came, we talked many times when you were in Syria, but when the opportunity came to go to Dubai, you did feel intuitively like this was like some kind of a major step to go and stay with your brother. And I remember too when I took a trip from Sweden, from Stockholm. I stopped in Dubai, and there, and Grace met me at the airport. We set the world record for the longest hug in an airport because we just had been talking to each other for so long, and we really hadn't met in person. And Nina was there with me, who also was in Canada, was a dear friend of you when you arrived in Canada. But yeah, maybe you can just tell us, what was that first step? What did that really feel like for you, leaving Syria and being able to go to Dubai as a first step in like this amazing journey that you've had? What was that like for you?
Hmm. Thank you, David, for these questions. It's really very helpful to remember my journey. Like, if I really want to go back to the actual first step, it's about how the miracle of meeting you and the Course in Miracles. This is what I call the first step.
Okay.
I feel the second step for me to take the leap of really taking the practical and just really to trust that I am worthy of actually going going and following my heart, about my heart core. I didn't really want to be in this country since I was a child. So for me, when the war was there, it felt for me like as if like something from my deep inside was calling for, please hear me. Something like somehow I need to get out of here. So it was really interesting that the war was the way I felt, like as if like collectively there was a something calling, I want to get out, and it was a war.
Mm.
and and because of that, I was being able to be sponsored by my brother, and I went to Dubai. Like he sponsored me actually. That's why there was all this like releasing all that unworthiness, that I am finally worthy of having my prayer answered, because I could feel it was a part of my journey to just break from that belief in limitations, because there was a lot of belief in limitation, feeling stuck in this closed up society and the church community and this kind of conservative country. And I knew there is something I needed to express. And that's why maybe you remember whenever I would speak with anyone online, can you help me get out of here? Can you help me? I felt like I was obsessed. That's why when the answer was like, okay, it's time now, it's time to leave. It was, of course, after the war. It was in 2013, and the journey was like a kind of dangerous to go, just to leave, like to take the taxi from our home to the Damascus, then to the airport. And we were told that just be careful, like there are some kind of those, I think you call them the snipers, who just
Snipers,
shoot
yes.
people like randomly. So yeah, so they shoot the cars, and so we have to, like, we were told that the car has to be more faster than usual, like than usual, just because this is the way to avoid any random shooting.
Yeah.
So of course there was all that charge around. Okay, I want to leave from that dangerous place, that place that represent something limited. And there was a kind of releasing and healing and forgiving. I'm worthy. And with that I said, okay, I knew I was gonna come back, but to come back with a way that I will forgive this place
Yeah.
and see it differently, that it's in my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's huge.
yeah, yeah,
You've
I
really
remember all
come
those
full circle.
emotions.
Yeah, you went
Yeah.
full circle from I need to get out. And then we talked a while back where, you were in Spain and you were saying, I think I need to go back in. I need to clear everything up in my mind. It was mainly just for healing and forgiveness. I need to go back there. I need to go back to Dubai to visit my brother and clear everything there because it's such a journey of emptying the mind of all of the thoughts and beliefs, and the mind is so deep, and it does take a lot of determination. I mean, I know a lot of people from traveling around the world in 44 countries, but I have to say that, your story of starting like in seemingly surrounded in a war with bombs going off and feeling I have to get out of here, then intuitively praying and knowing that your next step was with your brother in Dubai. And then that was a miraculous time we could even meet, you and I and Nina there at the airport. I have to tell everyone too, she brought me gifts and she dressed me up like a sheik. And I said,
Oh
oh
my
my God,
God.
here I am as a Christian minister. I said, oh my God, this is, I think we'll just do it for a photo op with you and I, but we had so much fun and that was just amazing. I think I have never looked like a sheik before, but you did it. You transformed me. So tell me,
I,
what happened? What
I'm
was that
happy you are
about?
mentioning this. Yeah, David, I just wanted to say it's funny you are mentioning this, because the other day I was looking through the pictures and I saw that pictures of us in Dubai, and I said, oh, I want to send those to David and I want to ask him if it's okay. We post few of them, but I'm gonna send them to you first.
Okay. All right. We have so much fun. We do have fun. Now, when we've had our talks, we've talked about everything. Like there's practicalities, like you going to Dubai with your brother, and then when you were there, you were still continuing your inward journey, but there was things around finances and things that, those are just the steps everyone takes to start to unwind from this ego belief in lack and financial dependency, people pleasing, doing things, possibly sometimes with relatives, we do things because we think that's the good thing. We should do this, we should do that. So you've kind of taken the rapid journey and you've just had to face thoughts around finances, family, sexuality. Anybody who's going into this should know that when you work with Jesus and A Course in Miracles in the depth of it, you're going to have to face everything that you believe in. And wow, yours could be made into a movie of the week, I think, or maybe a whole series. Grace.
Serious, serious.
Grace comes to see the nada of the world and the everythingness of love. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Thank you, David. Yes, I always tell people that I feel my journey is a course in miracles. I feel it's a course in miracles, like a path. When I say a course, it's like a path. So if I really look back and see all this, I mean, thank you for helping me recap all this and just to look back and see, count the blessings and just not to take all of that for like, not to dismiss, I mean, like there is a lot of challenges that were coming my way and just unwinding from that belief of like, my belonging, like being the good sister. Like when my brother asked me for financial support, like I can't say no. I have to prove I am the good sister. Like I have to do something somehow like the family obligation, like because we have the family ties. It's very serious here in the Middle East, and just also at the same time seeing that like forgiving a lot around gender. Like my brother is the one who actually has the final word, and he is the one who sponsored me. He is the one who actually has the money, and I have to show him my gratitude by giving him when he needs. And all this, it didn't feel really. It was just a way to say, yeah, yes, it's like to please, just feel true. And yeah, I still feel there is charge in my body while I say it, because just in 2 days I'm going to Dubai to clear out everything there.
Yeah, yeah. Good timing. 2 days away from that healing trip too.
And just because a few days ago I was with him on the phone and there was a lot of rage coming out of me, just like enough is enough. Like, and I felt like I told him, I feel I am doing my divorce paper, like I'm divorcing you psychologically, because there is a lot like like dependency, like here,
Yeah,
like I need to divorce you. I feel it's not really about any money as much as about like something like a umbilical, they call it cord, the
yeah.
cord. Like I need to
Umbilical
cut
cords.
something.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've had a sibling, a belief cord holding in your mind the sibling self-concept, and now you're doing this for the whole universe. You're healing all family constellations. You're healing all codependencies with your willingness in your mind to just follow your intuition and follow the spirit. The other thing I remember too is when you got to Dubai, you were there for some time, and then that feeling again, when we would talk, you would say, I need to get out. I need to get out. And so I remember us praying and praying and praying. And I talked to Emily, I talked to Jason, Kirsten, Francis, and I'd just say, yeah, I just feel Grace's heart. She's praying and praying and praying and praying. And she really needs a country. She just needs a country to go to. So I was like, well, let's see. What is one of the most open-minded countries I can think of out of all the countries in the world? And I thought, Canada. Canada is a possibility. And then Grace was saying, well, yeah, they do accept refugees, and that's quite amazing about Canada, how they accept refugees. One of the most open countries I've ever seen in terms of the world. And then the more we prayed was like, well, you have to have a sponsor. And we're just a band of mystics. We live just a simple life. So we don't have like big bank accounts and lots of worldly symbols, lots of cars and houses and bank accounts. But we did have a nonprofit up in
Yeah.
Canada. It was called Living Miracles Canada. So I just started. It was one of those far out ideas that where it felt Jesus was saying, yeah, you've got a nonprofit now, use that to get Grace over to Canada. And I'm like, really? Wow, I never thought of that. I've never done anything like that before in my life, before then or since. It was just a beautiful prayer. Well, Jesus is going to get Grace out of the Middle East somehow.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and there was a big synergy. And I know there was lots of calls, and I know Jason and Emily had lots and lots of calls with you, and I'd have an occasional call. But tell us about that. That was like a giant leap too, because
Oh my God.
for a lot of people in the Middle East, they would like to come to another
Mm.
country. And even I meet people in South America who have said in Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, we would love to come to the United States or Canada. And so tell us how that happened for you. You just had to take every step, almost like you were a secret agent and you were on a possible mission, but you had to really follow your heart and keep your prayers and determination going.
Oh my God, David, that I feel that was the miracle of my life. That was the practical. I mean, when I speak about practicality, I feel like because going to Dubai was a step, but I didn't feel really. I was still in that region. I wanted really to be in a as I said in a free place in terms of like what I mean from all the sides of the like releasing and expressing and feeling that I can even be closer to you. The thing is, I remember that night I was really in tears praying that I need to pray for please help, like just practically help me out of here. Again, like help me out of here. The same prayer I prayed in Syria, I prayed in Dubai. I spent the whole night. I said, this time I want really to ask for something practical again, because usually I only like pray for peace and love. But that night I spent the whole night, I need to get out of here. I need a miracle. And when I woke up, I saw a video on Facebook by someone posting that Justin Trudeau welcoming Syrian refugees. And I said, oh my God, it might be Canada. Then it was when I contacted you and you said, yeah. and and you called Jason right away. We were on the call when you called Jason, and Jason like he jumped like in with us and he said, oh, we are going to Canada, me and Emily, just in 1 month. And it might be very synchronistic that they will be there. I didn't even imagine actually that you have a place in Canada. I thought the best thing I thought is that I will go to, you will send me invitation to United States, then I will cross the borders to Canada. But I didn't believe that you can sponsor me to go to Canada. So when you said, yo, you have actually a non-profit in Canada, I said, what? And Jason, he said, nobody is there actually, but now me and Emily, we are going there next month. And this is what happened. They went to Canada just when we were speaking about that. They went the following month, it was in January. They went there, they worked on my application. We finished everything in 1 month. We sent out the application in February. Within 6 months, I was in Canada, which was like, and I received the permanent residence in the airport. Like they handed me the paper. It was like a miracle. Like I said, like it was really like, and I remember Jason, he told me, he said, we can't do this on our own. He said, it's very, like the process, the procedure, it's not something they have gone through before. He said, maybe you can help us to link us with someone like immigration office or something. And I didn't know anyone myself then. So I called the immigration office in Dubai. I asked them if they know someone. And then they told us they know, they work with someone in Canada. She is part-time immigration consultant. And we contacted her. We were supposed to contact her through the office in Dubai. But then after Jason and Emily, they contacted her, it was just like the spirit flowing. And she was only 5 minutes away from Jason and Emily in Vancouver in Canada. And it was very, very like smooth. And Jason was telling me, he said like, this is all going very flowing. And they met her and she said she doesn't even need money. She does this as a donation, like part-time. She does this because it's her passion to help.
Yeah.
So we ended up working with her and she was just reviewing, helping us with the application on their side and my side.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole thing was, yeah, I ended up in 6 months.
That's
I
a
don't.
miracle. It is such a miracle. These are all just beautiful symbols. These are for Course in Miracles students who just sit you. think you just sit in your room and you just do your lesson and you don't go out and you don't do anything, and everything, even in terms of the world, is just symbols of our willingness. But you have really had a deep prayer. There's actually a movie called The Island, and at one point in the movie, it's pretty late in the movie, the two main characters fall off of the top of a skyscraper, and they go down, down, and everything's crashing and falling and go down, and they fall into a net, and basically there's a man there who goes, Jesus loves you. And then a few seconds later, he goes, I know Jesus loves you. Well, Jesus is really taking care of Grace here. Uh,
Oh,
I'll say that much. Jesus has been watching you.
oh,
Now, I want to shift a little bit because I remember you picked up the guitar and you started practicing and you learned the guitar and you have a beautiful voice. And that's an example of the spirit coming through you, because even when you got to Canada, that was something that the spirit used through you. I mean, there's a lot of refugees coming in there. There's a lot of people from Syria. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new life. They're frightened. They're disoriented. They don't know how they're going to
mm.
survive. And you show up with your guitar and these beautiful love songs and songs that came through you. So tell me a little bit about the guitar and the songs. How did that get activated in you?
I just want to say that the guitar was my mighty companion.
It got you through a lot. Yeah.
Actually, I became much better guitarist in Canada because I spent much more time, like a lot of time, just especially when there was all those waves of like going through the nowhere and not knowing what to do. It was just my holding my guitar and playing the music and just putting myself out there, showing up, letting people know that I would love to share this music. So I was actually invited a few times to an event, so few events in Canada, in Vancouver. I performed in few of them, like they were like fundraising for Syrian refugees. Some of them they were just like humanitarian, but few of them actually I started as like for those who were uh, for Syrian refugees, but it was also about, you know, it's not just about the for Syrian. There it was more about sharing the joy and the love. It's not just about the seriousness of the war. So that's why I wanted to bring this joy and sharing from my story, sharing the joy and the love. And also sometimes I performed as hand drummer because I discovered I am very great hand drummer in Canada.
Good.
It
Another
was pouring
talent.
through me, and some people thought that yeah, I didn't even know that before landing in Canada that I am great and at drumming. And people would tell me that you become like a channeler when you drum. Like, and I say I would just joke and I say I feel like drum it away, like just drum it. Or and just like guitar and hand drummer, I would like. Also, I was invited to go to perform in a church, churches. I mean, more than one church and restaurants, and yeah, I feel it was all, yeah, part of just remembering the joy, because there was a lot of times that I would go off track, you know, you remember those times.
Yeah,
Like sometimes I would even reach out to say, what the hell I'm doing here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
you were
it
so
was
true.
it
You
was
were,
music very helpful.
that's beautiful. You've always been very transparent, I'm sure, in the music and the drumming, just in your conversations with me. And then, um, so you have your residency now in Canada. You really hung in there and went through lots of things, relationships and all kinds of healing in Canada. Then you went over to with Jenny and Barrett there, and that sounded like I was watching all the Facebook pictures and seeing you on some calls on Saturdays. You were watching my movies and sitting there
Yeah.
waving and tucked in a nice little couch and watching. But that was a pretty big healing again for you, because I think in
Mm.
some ways you kind of had seen me and Jenny as like your spiritual dad and mother. So you even were transparent and said that to me on the phone. It's like now I'm going through a healing of letting go, letting down my spiritual mom and dad. I had to go through the biological family, mom, dad, brother, and then even, with spiritual, we could just say advisors or friends or whatever. This Jesus is really just teaching us that we're all the same. We're all the same one. We're all equals. Nobody's ahead. Nobody's behind. We're all just the love. That's what he's trying to teach us. But tell us about that. How did that go? Because I remember you called me when you were out on the streets, and you said, "Oh my God, I I got kicked out." your your worst nightmare, kicked out of a spiritual community. But then we got, right away you got to talk to Jenny, and it just turns into love, a big loving experience with everything.
Yeah, it's funny that we are exposing this and just like releasing all the seriousness around it, because it's really a joke when I look how I when I look all the reflections, and how I was actually, just to summarize, like during my stay in Spain, I was like a little child kicking and fighting for 3 months.
For 3 months.
Just like to summarize, like the summary.
Oh.
I ended up actually writing a song and sending it to Jenny and to the community there, which summarize like my journey as an answer from the spirit, who says to me, "It's all yours." And in the song, I say, "It's all your perception. There is no deception. It's all deception. Sorry, it's all your perception. There is no exception. It's all deception of the mind." So this is how what I say in the song. And then I say, my child, no need to hide. My child, no need to bite. So because and I told Janie at one point, David told me this words when I was new in Canada, and it was really tough when I heard this, or like don't bite the hand that feed you, and there was still charge around what this means, and and I knew that even though you explained to me, you were talking about the spirit is the hand that feeds us. We were not talking about people.
Yeah.
So since there was still charge in me around like believing that like somehow there is something that I was still releasing about why this happened, or why David said that, why Living Miracles did that as my sponsors. So Jenny kept repeating to like whenever I would kick and bite, Jenny says, "Don't bite the hand that."
she kept giving it back to you. Oh my God, it's back again in Spain.
So actually, I think she kept repeating it until I get it.
Oh, that's the way the spirit works.
Until there was no charge around it, I really started to feel the love about this. Okay, it's all because there was still desire for war in me. It was clear that there is the warrior in me who wants to kick, and like it felt like somehow sometimes it felt like very hard for me just to allow the spirit and not to defend. Yeah, oh my God, like yeah. And that's why at the end, by the end of the my stay, I had to leave Spain anyway, because I couldn't stay more than 3 months as a Canadian tourist. So there was a sense of, because I have my own trauma around like abandonment and rejection, so I was still working through it. And by the time of my by the time of me leaving there, all that was flooded in me. There was panic around, feeling now I am moving and somehow feeling that they are kicking me out. Now they are changing. There is something. So it felt like I was conspiring to escape before I have to leave. So I wanted to leave before I leave. So somehow miraculously, Janie could feel that I was not really with them anymore, with this in the spirit, because in my mind I really was trying to escape. I was trying to do things that just to not to face something in my mind. Then she told me maybe it's time to leave. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to leave before I hear that. So it felt like I had also to face the belief in rejection.
Yeah.
So, okay, oh, Janie rejected me, or the community rejected me, when actually I was just facing all this belief in my mind that I was projecting on. I wanted people to tell me that. So I wanted Janie to tell me that so I can see what's really in my mind. So yeah, we are still talking, me and Janie. She's still supporting me. She's still like, yeah, my I call her my angel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's so beautiful
yeah.
because I think anybody who goes through the transformation and the mind training knows that it's about reclaiming the power of your mind, reclaiming the power of being aware of the power of your thoughts and the power of prayer. And so you're just, this is like a movie of the week. You've gone from having this passion and this intensity in living in Syria. It's kind of like uh, you've kind of had this spiritual warrior kind of concept, and then
Oh
little
yeah.
by little, Jesus is using the passion that you have and the
Oh
prayer and the determination, and he's washing away everything. So now it's not a grace.
oh
You're
yeah.
morphing into not a grace. You know, Buddha had to become from Siddhartha to the Buddha. And Jesus had to go
Yeah.
from Jesus of Nazareth to Jesus Christ, which
Oh
is not a
yeah.
last name. That's just a state of mind. Christ is a state of
Mm,
mind of one with
mm,
God. I and the Father are one. So it's beautiful that your journey has all the passion and strength and determination that you need to go on this journey to God, but also you're getting softer. The worn edges
mm.
are going out. You know, you can see now that that was just when at the very end there in Spain, it was more like, no, don't, you can't tell me to leave. I'll leave first before you tell me to leave to prevent rejection. But in the end, it's you're just getting rinsed free of this betrayal, rejection,
Yes.
belief. Yeah, that's all that's really
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like a race. Who's gonna say go first?
Right.
Yeah, and thank you. Thank you, David. Like, yeah. Also, when you said something about the spiritual warrior, there is something. It's helpful to look at this fire. Like, I feel sometimes there is fire in me. It's good to see this as passion that I can use for the spirit, because sometimes I would feel like bombarded by doubts about why even I am staying there. Like what? Like I would even wonder. I tell like I expect Janie to kick. I expected her to kick me out way before. So, but whenever I tell her, I should leave. It's not my place here. She looks, she looks at me and she say, I see you. I see there is a potential here. So I know that she believed in me, and maybe that's why I wanted to try to fight more to see how far she would be.
Like a teenager. You're like a teenager testing how far can I go?
Yeah, but it's really funny to see all this beliefs surfacing to that. Like it was somehow I was dealing with a lot of shame to see all that teenager in me, which maybe because I never felt I expressed this in my life here in Syria. I was always feeling like restricted and const constrained. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like something as if like I was like when there is the expression of like feeling inside the cage, like when the animal is inside the cage and suddenly they find someone who can they want just to fight someone,
Yeah.
and this the desire for fight, it just came flooding, and now I can see more. Okay, do I need to fight any like this, or can I just, as you said, I can use, like there is something about this passion that I can actually offer the spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's I think you've got so much light to shine and so much to give to the world. And of course, since we've talked for so many years, you've told me all your things with relationships and all the things and what you want and this, but it's been just so beautiful because I think it's just now after all this, after you go to Dubai and you have this forgiveness with your brother, then I think it's just that Jesus has been preparing with the Holy Spirit for all these years, just the right partner for you that he's
Oh,
got to be just the perfect partner for you, and knew that you had to go through all this just before you get partnered up in a way that will bring a huge
yeah.
blessing to the whole world, to the whole universe. And I think that's the thing, a holy relationship, it doesn't have a beginning and doesn't have an ending. It's a forever kind of relationship because there's so much love in the heart. But Jesus always knows what will he can bring to us that will really let us shine, that will bring all that equality out, that will bring all that strength and gentleness and respect and reverence. And now I think you've gone through so much healing through all these things that's I think the next thing coming for you is going to be some kind of a relationship, a partnership where you will flower and bloom and you send your fragrance out to the whole world because you've
I
done
love
the
you,
healing.
David. I love you because I could really feel that there is all. Thank you for mentioning this. I love how you are progressing through this because I could feel there is that all this fear of intimacy, like underneath all of this, like fight and flight and all these things. There was all this fear of love. I could feel that this is ultimately, even when just getting closer to someone, all these things that can, and I know that all this, when I would share with you about even my confusion around my sexuality, like my sexual orientation, and all these things, like questioning, like even I even feel I don't even need a label, like straight, bisexual, lesbian. I don't even want now to have these labels. Just okay, whatever opens my heart, Lord.
Yeah.
Whether it's man, women, I don't want to have the gender thing. And maybe I don't know, but when you mention that, I can feel my heart is opening. Maybe it's time. I'm ready. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like now at this age, like I am 43, and I have never allowed myself intimacy, not even a single relationship. I was always in this survival mode, just wanting to get out of Syria, then get out of Dubai, then going to Canada. But I'm still feeling I am like in my 20s in this, the feeling of like, as you said, the teenager. Like I don't even understand age. I don't even understand what is that. I feel like I'm still, yeah, just ready to play.
Yeah. Well, there's your
Yeah, thank you
prayer
for
right
mentioning
there.
this.
You just said it. The prayer is, Lord, bring me a relationship that will open my heart. And that's it, period. You don't have
Period.
to put in the preferences and all I would prefer this and this, because that's how the world operates. People do dating and relationships like they do when they're going to a grocery store and they're checking out the ingredients and they prefer this, and oh, it's too much cholesterol and too much fat. But that's not the way healing works. When you just say, here I am, Lord, and bring me the relationship that will allow me to feel true intimacy with you, with God, with my brothers, my sisters. Bring it to me, and you know what's best for me. So the rest was
Yeah,
just a washing away. All that
yeah.
was a prelude. Yeah.
And like just a few days ago, I was having this prayer with Jesus, like until I can even like until I receive this inner relationship with Jesus, I don't even know how to be in a relationship. Like this inner intimacy, this is what is my heart desire. And I feel it's all happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gonna be only reflection when that person is there. But and I know that my desire is to have this intimacy as ongoing experience, like
Yeah.
this connectedness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I know your light. I've always felt you had this huge light. And now today, we both joined together for the glory of God to shine our light for the whole universe. And hopefully, those who are watching or they watch the replay, they can feel the love here and the transparency and the heart to heart connection, because this is a holy relationship and this is what we have to offer for the whole world. So thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, David. I just want to say, David, thank you, thank you, thank you for extracting the joy and the love in me all the time. I love you so much.
I
Thank you
love you
for
too. Thank you,
for
Grace.
existing.
Yes. Jesus, I think, is extracting us from this world. And so I got to play my part and you got to play your part too.
Yes. Amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Many blessings.